the fulfilled attempt at the National Assembly, the bill for 6 years single term for the president and the state governors resurfaced on Monday, having 35 members endorsing its inclusion in the Constitution. So let's start with you, Mr. Adio.
Yes.
What are your views on this?
You see, this single tenure thing is not a new idea.
Yes, it has been on. I mean, this is the fourth.
In fact, the national conference that took place during President Jonathan,
yes,
agreed on single term for president, governors, and the rest of them. Okay, so it's a good development to have at least a single term of 6 years. I support the idea, advancing democracy, because even the 4 years tenure that we have of 2 terms, many occasions we have seen that those who wants to get re-election, the incumbents are the ones that, win election again. So if you ask me further, I will just tell you that we should talk more on the areas of the process, that is bringing a politician to power. The local politics, that is the internal democracy process, that is within the party process, nomination process, becoming a candidate. All these are issues, that need to be realigned with reality of our time. Our democracy is just coming up, and then we have a lot of challenges in, election cases of tribunal, and all is still on issue of overvoting, issue of electronic display system. All those things are things we should be able to talk more to ensure the transparency of the process, so that when we have those that are coming for re-election, we would be getting the people actually voted for, not those that some little oligarchies within the system are putting forward to become whoever in a political office holder. So that's my view regarding 6 years tenure. It's a welcome development if it is enacted into the law.
All right. So let's have Mr. Ashley's view on this. Are you also with the 6-year single tenure for presidency and the state government? Do you also see this as a good idea and a welcome development?
No, I can't tell you yes, I can't tell you no.
Okay.
But I think the positive thing I can draw from this is the fact that people have realized that there's something wrong with the system, and that those operating within the system, especially lawmakers, are worried about what is going on in the country. Don't forget that these lawmakers that are coming up with this proposal are beneficiaries of the present political system. And so, being beneficiaries, you will expect that they might give the impression that all is well and that they have no problem. But the fact that they are pointing out anomalies within the system and that they want to improve on these anomalies and make things better is an indication that they realize that things are not working well with our democracy and with the structure of the politics of this country. There's a saying that if it is not broken, then you don't try to fix it. So the fact that they are trying to fix it, to fix the politics, means that some of them acknowledge the fact that this politics is wrong. And as long as it is wrong, the way it is not going to take us anywhere. So that's the positive thing about it. On the merits of this particular issue, there are some arguments that would seem to favor it. The fact that the way when Jonathan was, when he proposed it, a lot of people across the political spectrum in the country opposed it. Because what he was saying is that if you have a 4-year term and you have intention of coming back for the second term, that the only time you will spend working for the people is the first 2 years of your tenure. After the first 2 years, you are concentrating on the politics of re-election, coming back to power. And so the next 2 years is lost. So that was the point he was making. And who else could make that point, that statement, if not the president of Nigeria then? because he must have been, because after 2 years, everybody, they are all thinking about how to get back to power. And so governance suffers, and they pay less attention to their primary responsibility of providing good governance. All they are thinking of is, we have to retain power from the second term. So those next 2 years are consumed by politicking. And so from that perspective, if you look at it, if you think about it carefully, it makes a lot of sense. And from that perspective, you could say, yes, what these lawmakers are proposing seems good. Because again, it seems, they are proposing something that should benefit every side in this country, every geopolitical zone in this country. Because again, the lopsided nature of the country, the division of states, and the population of this country might continue to favor a particular group unless the right kind of political maneuvering is done. So I think this is and so from that perspective, I think they are making a lot of sense. But you see, that is not the reason why our democracy is not working. This is just a peripheral issue. Democracy is not working because the actors who are practicing this democracy on our behalf are actors, are bad actors. And so it's not just about the system. We know that the system is bad, and that's why people are talking about restructuring. And restructuring, again, what these people are proposing is another form of restructuring, because we already have a structure of the Nigerian state as the Constitution has given vent to. So when you begin to tamper with the structure itself, the nature and the character of the state, you're talking about restructuring. So in a way, what the lawmakers are saying is restructuring. It might not be the total restructuring that everybody is talking about, but this is one aspect. But this is not enough, because our problem goes deeper than even the structure of the Nigerian state. So I understand that we need to do something about the structure of the state, but then you also have to do something about the actors who are running the state. Because when you put the best system on ground, if you have the worst kind of people to run the best system, they'll run it aground.
All right.
Thank you.
Just as what you said concerning the 6-year single tenure proposal, we have people worried or concerned about the fact that the people in government would, because they know that there's no re-election whatsoever, they could be a large issue of misappropriation of funds, and all of that. And the people, of course, like you said again, looking at the advantage of it, to save a lot of resources, and that, okay, you have 6 years to work, you don't have to think about how to get back votes and all of that. But again, in this proposed bill, because it's a whole lot in it, I think a part of the proposed bill also seeking to amend the constitution to create the office of 2 vice presidents for the southern and the northern parts of Nigeria. And the first vice president will be a succession vice president, while the second vice president will be a minister in charge of the economy, and they both shall be ministers. And in addition, the first vice president is to merge with the same region as the president to ensure a smooth transition. Let's also look at this part of the bill. Do you also buy into that idea? Let's come back to the studio.
I really don't know the kind of system of government they are trying to build that ideology upon, basically. But what I know is that it's more dancing towards a parliamentary system. When you, in the UK, for example, the president, the prime minister is nominated from the House of the Lords, and then we have House of Commons from there. That's what I know, regarding that kind of system. But it's a good one if we look at it. But like the other the NUJ secretary have just said, very key that we get wonderful laws and then put all these ideas in place. But once you have some bad actors that are not willing to see that this thing sees the light of the day, effort becomes futile, okay? But then it is a good idea, and then we need to reorientate ourselves to see that this country is for all of us, and that not for few people in the way it has been displayed, so to speak. Yes.
All right, so back to Mr. Achuke. The lawmakers are also looking at rotating the presidency within the six geopolitical zones of the country, and they believe that it will enhance unity amongst Nigerians. Do you really think that proposal, the idea, do you really think it will actually solve the current tribal clash we have in Nigeria? Do you think that is the solution or the best way forward?
No. It's not. It cannot be a solution. It is good that sometimes when you structure, the federal character principle says that that the philosophy behind it is to get Nigerians across the divide, across geopolitical, ethnic, religious zones involved in the task of nation building, in terms of occupation of certain government offices, that there's inclusivity and that nobody is left behind, so that it gives a sense of oneness, of purpose and unity among all the various groups in the country. But we have seen that even that provision, constitutional provision, is not enough. The politicians abuse it at will. So you have different administrations that will come in, and then there are all manners of accusation that they at the federal level, that maybe the president is appointing people from a particular zone, a particular area, or appointing his own kinsmen. And it's not just at that level. In the states, you also have cries of marginalization, by certain states, certain senatorial zones, or certain, parts of a state that the governor is also marginalizing them and all that. So you don't address these things. To some extent, maybe structurally, you can, begin.
Hello. Can you hear me, Mr. Achuke? I think we lost the sound. Hello, Mr. Achuke, can you hear me? All right, so the call we fixed.
Yes.
All right, yes, I think he's back. Mr. Achuke, I can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Quickly wrap up before we move to the next topic.
Hello, can you hear me?
Alright, so
Yes.
yes, I can. So quickly wrap up
Okay.
before
So,
we go to the next topic.
Yeah. So what I was saying is this. Nigerians on their own, if you leave them on their own, they know how to relate among themselves. They don't get into crisis with one another. They have always traded among themselves, even before independence. So, and they have lived among themselves. They marry among themselves. They trade among themselves, and they socially interact, within themselves. Anytime there is crisis among the various religious, ethnic divides in this country, among people from the various religious and ethnic divides, it is the politicians and the political elites that are creating it. For the purpose of satiating a primordial sentiment, either for the purpose of politics. They create this crisis so that they can use it for the purpose of election, or for other purposes. So this is it. So when we now say, okay, because the impression we give, even from the question you ask, is that, we cannot automatically, dictate the behavior of politicians. You can erect new structures, political structures on ground, but it takes more than that to ensure unity in the country. Unity can only be brought about when the politicians begin to change their messages, when they begin to see this country as one, and they begin to see Nigerians from everywhere as one people belonging to, this country called Nigeria, and decide to treat them as Nigerians. The divisions are created by the political class, by the political elites, for primordial sentiments, or for whatever reason. So it is not the structure the fiscal structure of the state that will ensure that there is unity in the country.
All right. So thank you so much, Mr. Ashike.